Okay, let me start. Here, according to each, man mad is going to think himself as the emperor of China. Okay, now coming to the next. George Borrow, the author of Lavengro, thus addresses those who suffer from depression. How doesn't thou don't know that these dark people is not their best friend. It may be the mother of wisdom and great works. It is the dread of the horror of the night which makes the pilgrim hasten on his way. Thou would not be joyous, would not thou then be a fool. What great works worse, ever the result of joy, the puny one, who have been the wise ones, the mighty ones, the conquering ones of the earth. The joys, I believe it not. So here, Borrow, he was saying, who was the author of Lavengro, he was saying that according to him, the depression is the most suitable stage to become happiest man or woman in the world, where he or she can concentrate or focus on his ability in order to invent so many wonderful things. So according to him, depressed persons, they are going to bring out their abilities out so that they can achieve many inventions, they can have many inventions, they can achieve many things. Because at this stage, they are going to understand, they are going to know their capabilities. So according to this him, Borrow, the depressed person, it's a correct situation in the stage of depression that makes one happy. Now coming to next paragraph. This is rhetorical, but I have noticed with surprise how often the biographies of great men reveal that they were subject to frequent and severe fits of depression, which the world knows nothing of. Perhaps it is only shallow natures who never feel the tragedy of existence. I can sympathize with the man who wrote, Send me hence 10,000 miles from a face which always smiles. Here, he noticed that number of biographies of a great people that revealed that they are subjected to frequent fits of depression. The most of the world don't know how those famous personalities have undergone depression. Look at here. He noticed that it was surprised that biographies of great people, they revealed that they had undergone frequent fits of depression. They met with so many hurdles in their life. They had so many depressions that world don't know nothing. They don't know their shallow natures. The most of the world don't know how those famous personalities have undergone depression, which the world knows nothing. The world don't know their depression, how many hurdles they had come across in their life. Really great people, they cross all these depressions and hurdles in their life and they achieve their goals. So according to him, he noticed that he had it was very surprised thing. He noticed it is very surprised that often, regularly. What is the meaning of often over here? It's a regularly. regularly, really, he revealed that the biography of great peoples showing us that they are subject to frequent fits of depression here. Frequent and severe fits of depression. Next, but we see their faces. We see only we are going to see their smiley faces. We don't know their heart. Okay? Alright? Just we see their smiley faces. We don't know until and unless we know their biography. And yet those who might take comfort from Varro's praise of melancholy have to remember that the Sermon on the Mount goes far towards ranking worry as one of the deadly sins. Actually, here deadly sins, actually 7 deadly sins are there. Here one more biblical word has been given to the famous place where the Jesus Christ preached his disciples. So here Jesus Christ preached his disciples. He preached 7 deadly sins. What are they? Actually, they did not mention here, but there are 7 deadly sins. Here they did not mention in this paragraph, but let me read it out. What are that 7 deadly sins? First one is pride. We know what is pride. It's a proudness. When comes to human being, this pride, when comes to human being, it creeps out everyone. So you cannot recognize anyone else like your mother, your parents, either your parents or your friends. So first deadly sin is a pride. When it comes into our life, we are not going to recognize our own beings, because pride is what is that? Proudness. So we are not going to recognize our close beings. Next one is fragile. What is that? Fickle-minded. It is also called as covetousness. What is the second deadly sin? It's a fickle-minded. Next, what is the third sin? Rat. Here in this sin, they were explaining the characteristics of rat. It has born. Often it has born and is often jumped out of. It has born as it was jumped out of mouth of lion, as it always injures others. Here, what is the third deadly sin? Rat. Here, he was saying the characteristics of the rat which had jumped from out of mouth of lion, which always injury others. Next, fourth deadly sin, envy. According to the Bible, envy's color is black and cannot read that, which was born out of union of chimney sweeper with a woman. Next, fifth deadly sin, gluttony. Person always wants to eat, keep on eating. And sixth one is sloth. Here sloth, they mention sloth over here. What is a sloth? The person is very, very lazy. According to him, they are going to be very happy as they cannot speak a single word. Next, seventh deadly sin, that is Lashari, connected to moral ethics. So here this paragraph saying that there was a famous place where the Jesus Christ preached his disciples these deadly sins. Deadly sins. 7 deadly sins we come across through. It is not mentioned in this, but there are 7 deadly sins. First one is pride, second one is fragile, third one is wrath, fourth one is envy, fifth one is gluttony, sixth one is sloth. Next, last 7th deadly sin is luxury. Next, coming to Spinoza. Who is Spinoza? Spinoza, he is Dutch philosopher. Let me read it out. Spinoza agrees. Sadness is never justiciable. He says, the medieval monks who must have known the moral dangers of boredom, placed among the severe deadly sins one which they call acedia. They describe it as a compound of dejection, sloth. Just now we had come across through this. It's a deadly sin, one of the deadly sins. In the Bible, 7 deadly sins are there. So in that, out of 7, sloth is one deadly sin. What is sloth? It's a laziness, sometimes most happiest stage. Sloth is sometimes most happiest stage. Here the person is very lazy and cannot speak a single word. It's a deadly sin, sloth. They describe it as a compound of dejection, sloth, and irritability, which makes a man feel that no good is worth doing. We have forgotten the word, and when we are attacked by the thing, we blame our nerves or our livers. But perhaps the monks were right. Here Spinoza, he was Dutch philosopher, is saying that the medieval monks, the monks in the medieval stage, their lifestyle, really they used to follow a good way of lifestyle. Spinoza's monks' lifestyle used to be very good. The way they followed their lifestyle it was a correct way. Here, look at here. Monks were right. Their lifestyle, their everything, etc. The monks were right. Okay. Next, coming to next paragraph. Religion is a great source of happiness because it gives us a right standard of values and enables us to regard our troubles as a light affliction. What is the meaning of affliction? Sufferings. As a light affliction which is but for a moment. But the religious temperament is susceptible to more grievous fits of misery than any other. So Inge was saying that, what he was saying that, Inge was saying that the religion is a more reliable thing from where we can get our standard values like moral and ethical values. So we get from our religion. It's a great source of happiness because we come to know that we are come to know that we are facing many problems in our life. that they are very temporary. So here he is talking, Inge was talking about religion, the greatness of this religion. It is a source of happiness. What is that? According to Inge, he was saying that religion is a great source of happiness because it gives us the right standard of value. Yes, we are going to conquer, we are going to get good values, ethics, moral values. This is very reliable to us. It's a great source of happiness because we are going to understand affliction, sufferings. These are very temporary in our life. Okay, is it clear? Troubles are very temporary. They are going to stay in our life they are temporary in our life. They are not permanent. So this religion, your religion and our religion, so whatever it may be, religion, it is going to give us happiness because we are going to learn good ethics, moral values. But the religious temperament is susceptible to more grievous fits of misery than any other. But there had one problem. What is that? But religious has one problem, is that religious temperament. Before itself, I gave the meaning of this temperament here. Tendency to behave angrily. But the religious temperament is susceptible. Here, too much reliable on religion, sometimes it's dangerable. Too much reliable on religious. Okay? Inge was saying it's very good. You should follow religion. It's good. You're going to give it's a source of happiness. We are going to know the moral values, ethics in our life. We are going to come across through all these. But too much over feel on religious, reliability on religious, going to be very dangerous sometimes. So he's saying us to follow, but it should be in limit. Don't be overexcited. We hear sometimes of the gaiety. What is that? Happiness which prevails in a monastery or nunnery. I confess that this vapid spiritual, vapid, its meaning is dull. Here, gaiety is happiness. Happiness. This is dull. That this vapid spiritual hilarity rather irritates me. Running away from the life ought not to make people happy. Unworldliness based on knowledge of the world is the finest thing on earth. But unworldliness based on ignorance of the world is less admirable. Here, now furthermore, sayings of each. Further, he was saying that the monastery or nunnery, what are they? Residents. They are the residents of monks. Community. Residential community of monks. The monastery and nunnery sometimes gets happiness. But he confesses. What is that? What is the meaning of confesses? Write it down. What is the meaning of confess? One feels slightly ashamed. One feels slightly ashamed. He confesses that this vapid spiritual hilarity rather irritates him. Next, running away from life. He was saying that who was running away from reality is not the solution for happiness. It's one of the famous lines of Inch. Running away from life ought not to make people happy. This is the famous line of Inch. He was saying that running away from reality of life is not going to give solution for our happiness. Even he was added that sometimes ignorance is blessed character, but not all time. But sometimes ignorance it's a blessed character. Now coming to next paragraph. Very different is the happiness enjoyed by such a saint as a Hindu mystic and Christian missionary. Sadhu Sundar Singh, whose life has just been written by Canon Streeter. It is one of the most fascinating books that I have read for a long time. The Sadhu has undergone every kind of persecution, including 2 days at the bottom of the well in Tibet, where he found himself among the decaying corpses of former victims. He lives the life of Saint Francis of Assisi, and he is happy as the most Christ-like of saints. An English parlour maid announced him to her mistress as follows. There is someone come to see you, ma'am. I can't make nothing of his name, but he looks as if he might be Jesus Christ. I urge my readers to read the Sadhu. It will make them feel better or worse, which is much the same thing in this connection. Look at here. Here he was talking about Sadhu Sundar Singh's life. He belongs to Christian missionary. Sadhu Sundar Singh. He belongs to Christian missionary whose life has just been written by who had written Canon Streeter. Canon Streeter had written his Sadhu Sundar's life. This is very much fascinating book. Though here Sadhu had undergone many kinds of harassment. Here persecution. What is the meaning of this? Cruel harassment for religious. So here the Sadhu Sundar Singh had undergone many cruel harassments for religions. Yeah, he had undergone, and he went to the bottom of the well in Tibet for 2 days. Including 2 days at the bottom well in Tibet, he had undergone the harassments for religious. He had 2 days. He had in harassment for 2 days at the bottom of the well in Tibet, where he had seen the dead bodies of corpses of former victims. So he had underwent many cruel harassment at the bottom of the well in Tibet. There he had seen many dead bodies. Decaying corpses of former victims. Here, at the bottom of the well in Tibet, he saw them. He saw the decaying corpses of former victims. So, this Sadhu Sundar Singh, he was really such a great person who had undergone many harassments. Even though Sadhu had gone through many harassments, he achieved his life. He was enlightened like the life of Francis. So, though he According to it, he was saying that this is a great person who had met with so many hurdles and harassments. His life was enlightened as Saint Francis. And he was the person, he was the happiest person like Jesus Christ. Look at here. So Sadhu Sundar Singh, actually he's a saint. He belongs to Christian missionary. This great person Sadhu had undergone to cruel harassment. In the Tibet, actually he was jailed for 2 days at the bottom of the well in Tibet. They had harassed him. There in the Tibet, at the bottom of the Tibet, he had seen the dead bodies of the corpse. Got it, students? Though he had met with all these harassments, he enlightened his life. Look at here, like the life of Saint Francis, and is as happy as the most Christ-like of saints. Very good personality. Here, an English parallel maid, she was saying, servant of parallel, announced him to her mistress. So, this here, and she was saying he was giving one example over here. An English parlour maid announced to her mistress, he announced her madam that about this Sadhu Singh. This parallel maid announced about Sadhu Singh to her mistress as follows. There someone came to see you, ma'am. She was saying to her madam, someone came to us, came to see you, ma'am. I can't make nothing to his name. This maid was saying that I can't know who is he. I can't make nothing of his name. I don't know his name. But he looks as if he might be Jesus Christ. He might be a Jesus Christ. She was saying that I don't know who is he. But he is like his looks as if might be Jesus Christ. So, Inge was urging us to read this Sadhu Sundar Singh. See how such a great personality he had. He had given one example to say how about this Sadhu Sundar Singh, that a parallel maid, she announced her madam that somebody, a great personality who looks like a Jesus Christ came to you, ma'am. Next, coming to next paragraph. Tomorrow I am going to discuss this remaining paragraphs in these happy people.